Hey, this is Nick from Flesh Eating Zipper, and what we're about to do here is basically it's kind of like a retrospective of Just Cause 2, which was basically my favorite game of 2010. Wow, it's already been 2 years. What we're doing here, I'm fast forwarding right now. What I'm basically doing is racing around the entire world. And if you don't know, Just Cause 2 has one of the biggest worlds ever created in a game. Especially a modern game, where it's just not procedurally done. Every part seems to be more or less curated. This part was great. So I just got this fancy car, and I lose it. This game feels really familiar, having played Saints Row a lot recently. But there's obviously, you know, parts where that excelled and parts where this one totally gets it. Like, for instance, the open world nature of this game is second to none, basically. It's just just a massive world, but it's also a very big, living, breathing world. And the city section here is actually a place I didn't really get into until till early on, because like I stopped playing it for about 1.5 years or so, and then when I came back to it, you know, it's like yeah, I better hit up the city parts of it, which are honestly kind of the most boring. Like, even, you know, think what you will, the jungle parts, you know, and the other biomes that we're going to be going through, but the city just seemed like the most just generic. So now this car is actually pretty cool, aside from me crashing it a lot, but as in my travels in the video you'll see, I just never seen this car only seems to be in the cities, and it's better than any of the other ones just because of handling. He just was able to handle the higher speeds better. Oh, and this is the point where I realize that I'm going the wrong direction, so I need to ditch that wonderful car I had and piggyback on here. Now, sailing around with the parachute is honestly one of the coolest pedestrian travel tools that I've used in a game. Like, everyone else, oh sure, you can have cars and what have you, but going around with your grapple and the parachute was awesome. And the fluid nature, because you'll see it several times throughout this video, of being able to jack cars is pretty cool. But you'll actually see it a little bit later where I'm trying to jack a car and I'm right on top of it, but there's no Y prompt to enter. You have to actually step in front of the door to get to it, so, or to jack it. So it's like, seriously? Here's a purple version of that car I had earlier. This is the, I can't remember what it's called. The Cavallo. Mancini Cavallo. It's a great car. So, unlike other people, well, I guess kind of like my time with Elder Scrolls, I actually didn't spend hardly any time with the main story. You know, the main quest lines. Because what I really did was because you have that starting zone, which you'll see at the end of the video, but I was basically just going from town to town, completing each little village 100%, and then moving on to the next one. And so my map kind of looked like this big sea of, like this big tongue of icons, and there's the city where I started, that little island there. Beautiful graphics, by the way. I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but I basically went through the game. As of the clock at the end of this video, I'd put in 40 hours, and I honestly hadn't driven that much, because, I mean, why would you drive when you can either, you know, launch yourself around? And here, yeah, I missed my turn, went through a roundabout and didn't. But between the aircraft and your little grapple parachute combo, like driving cars was pretty boring. And they don't really like, even the best cars don't really handle all that well. They've all got kind of this like loose feeling to it, so that was accidentally. Totally. And the Doom buggy is completely crap. Oh my goodness, it's completely garbage. I don't know why I even bothered. Like, all you have to do is bump your bumper a couple times and your control is completely out. Just like here. Like I've completely screwed up. This entire video is about, I want to say it was like 75 kilometers. What am I doing? I gotta jack another car. Now the cool thing is that there's like a lot of highways, there's like this really complex road system, but there doesn't seem to be like a lot of signage like you are on this road or this is a main highway. I mean, aside from the obvious presence. Yeah, snow-capped peaks. It's glorious. But there doesn't really seem to be that sense of logic around this stuff. And I don't understand why the traffic is flowing towards me. That's gotta be a glitch. That's gotta be a glitch. Let's see, rattling around. More easy on it. So now we're up on the main island. And you'll see around the supports here, and I was getting a little irritated that I didn't stop. But, you know, going back to finishing every settlement first was the fact that I would go out and I would seek, and you see in the top left there, you see that there's like a little antenna gauge that goes up and down, like right above the map. It goes up and down. Yeah, I was actually actively seeking those out, and one thing that would have saved me so much headache in this game would have been if there was like little zones laid out, little territory markers on your map indicating where a town ended, because then I wouldn't have to spend as much time searching nowhere, because those little boxes, whether it's armor or it's money or upgrade stuff, I mean, you're obviously seeing them on every single exit here, so I'll have to go back sometime and get them. But to go through every town and try and get them was a pain in the butt, because a lot of them were like, I'd be at like 80-something%, and then it's like, oh my god, I gotta find these last one or two things, or because between sorry, what the hell am I thinking? Between those little crates and the Panauan military stuff, like that stuff was hard to find. And I think I did, at last count, it was 180 of these. And we're getting into sunset now. And one obvious kind of correlation, I would say, that I would draw this to is actually Test Drive Unlimited. And I'd played that several years ago. This was 2005. And it's basically, if you took the game part out of this, you would have Test Drive Unlimited. Now, right there, you saw kind of just random action. That's one of the cool things, is that when you're driving around, you know, when you're not just racing around the map like I am, there's like genuine action going around between the civilians and the military, especially in areas you haven't gotten to yet. But it does, at no point does it ever feel like this unified thing where, you know, it's us versus them. You know, it's just always military jerks. So you don't really see these guys for a while until we get into uncharted territory. Let's see, I gotta get a crate. Yeah, and this is a game that I honestly, like, despite its size, or maybe because of its size, I wanted to 100% it. Because I am crazy. I wanted to 100% this game. But you go through like 10 of those settlements, you see those little white arrows floating everywhere, you know, right around the center, indicating there's something nearby. That was, oh man, that was going to be a thing. And of course, the gorgeous mountains on here. This is where I came through the first time. Crashing the car. This is where I came through the first time. Just sailed right up the top, and you see the windmills off to the left here. Those were the first things that took out. Because if you follow that valley you saw earlier, that takes you down to the starter area. And I'm just, as I was driving here, I just saw so much stuff I wanted to do, and that's the thing about Just Cause 2, is that you just, there's always something to do. There's always something to blow up and take down and whatever. So there's just never a shortage here. Now this kind of the purpley, misty nights just reminded me of the elves area in World of Warcraft. It was cool. Doesn't have any all the elvish designs and stuff, but whatever. Oh, and this is the car I keep for most of the rest of the video here. It's the sturdiest thing. Controls. You'll see it chokes up a few hills on here, but yeah. Yeah, so I went around this game and I did all kinds of crazy stuff. And when I got bored one part of the world, I would go to another world entirely. Like just another... It's like, I'm going to go over here and I want to take out all this stuff. I want to do all these settlements. This area here I'd done a couple years ago. This isn't far from the Blimp Club. There's like a rocket launching site. Yeah, there's actually a like Zeppelin that floats in the air, and it's a nightclub, and you can only get there by air, but it's not hard to get aircraft here, so yeah, I'm about to struggle up. But yeah, back to Test Drive Unlimited 2, or Test Drive Unlimited, because I'm going to play the second one. That game was the entire island of Oahu modeled to scale, and of course, you know, it was missing a lot of, you know, secondary roads and the complexity, of course, but it got a lot of the big deal done. Rising sun, windmills, and I played it. I thought it was, the scope was really cool. That was really the selling point, but actually playing the game was more of a chore. And then you would buy these cars, you know, these expensive supercars, and it didn't really mean it. Like there was no point in buying them aside from kind of prestige or just getting around the island quicker. Who's ever driven to the sun? Seriously. But yeah, I just couldn't enjoy Test Drive Unlimited, and it was just so dry. It was like a tech demo, like a really big budgeted tech demo at that. But you'll see there's a few skips around here because I was pulling up the map. That was the one thing you can't plot out waypoints or anything like that in Just Cause 2, which would have helped. I think between that and the territory markers around towns, I think that would have helped a lot in keeping me adventuring. Because then, you know, then I could set goals and do stuff. Because otherwise, I mean, it's just a big sandbox. I mean, we're already 12 minutes and 48 seconds in, and it's just, look how big this place is. You could go everywhere. Like that mountain to your right, you can go there. It's bigger than Skyrim. It's more interactive than Skyrim as far as the environments go. I mean, it's lacking stuff like, you know, burn down this forest, but then a lot of these places are probably too moist to do that anyway. The other big thing is that the biomes, so between, you know, the cities, deserts, the jungles, etc., they don't really, they don't mesh well in parts. It doesn't have that kind of organic feeling to some of them. I mean, here you have kind of some flat areas, but I don't know, it just didn't, like, you'll see it when we go to the desert later. You know, it's just kind of jungle to desert, and that's it. So, and yeah, like I said, this is something that I'd normally be flying over for the most part. You can actually, one of the other disappointments here is that you actually could not. Oh, I left that in. Woo. But you can't actually save the civilian vehicles that you encounter out here. You can summon, you can purchase specialty vehicles, but you cannot just, you know, steal a truck or something like that and put it in your garage. And it realizes that it's got nitpicking, you know, what have you, because I've put 40 hours into this game after playing the demo. Actually, I saw the Giant Bomb Quick Look first, which sold me on the demo, which then sold me on the game. And that was like half an hour, so I played that a couple times. So I've basically put like 45 hours into this game already, even though none of that progress is saved. You saw the kilometers. They're there. We're getting close. These are like the little swamp islands. We got to it earlier, but these are like little swamp islands. One of the last places I'd gone to because kind of samey. I mean, the rest of there's a lot of sameness kind of around the worlds, but going from military base to military base was just it was pretty boring out here. When I got out to the desert part, that's when stuff started to get really crazy. I wish they would mix up the bridges. Like the bridges they had earlier on in the city, pretty cool. Pretty cool. But I guess it's just the size of the team. And I mean, this, see, desert. It's just straight up desert. And I'm about to lose my car up here. You can see it's really banged out. Doors were flying everywhere. It's gorgeous out here. The bang. I just can't. Yeah, again, just kind of loose handling in there. Stuff's hidden below bridges. There's a really the challenging ones are like the missile silos, or the little communication silos. And I found a lot of them here. They're the ones where you have to actually go deep underneath and take out a bunch of dudes. Yeah, see, this is more like what I was doing Just Cause. Just stopping and taking out stuff. Yeah, I wish Just Cause would have just let me pick out, like, hey, let me find the gun that actually has ammo. I'm not sitting there struggling. I wish they kind of streamlined, you know, the weapons roster so that you could run around, kill more dudes, and steal more weapon ammo easily. But instead, you gotta. I ended up buying a lot of my ammo, which is kind of a pain because they have the Overlord dude. Like, how can I help you? The helicopter dude that lifts you around town or around the map and get you weapons and stuff like that. It was a boring dude. See, here's another town I skipped. Yeah, this is actually up to the left here, up in those hills. That's where the demo starts. And I'm getting stunt points as I'm passing people past a certain speed. And I actually got a trophy for it earlier. You probably even saw it in the video somewhere, but you had to like really squint to see it. This is actually sped up 4x, all the fast parts here, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. I really like this part of the world. And this is actually the second place I came to after being in the jungle for so long. Of course, as I dive back into the jungle, but was coming back out to the desert and doing all the stuff from the demo. And to the southwest of here, beyond this island, is a smaller one with a huge hotel and like some other smaller sub points. And that was a lot of fun doing those little areas there. But the spawn points are a little too far between, so I would die. Then I had to spawn like miles and miles away from where I wanted to go. Just me causing junk. I didn't really have any rules when I ran the world. I'm just fascinated with like game geography. Like I was really excited with the because when I played World of Warcraft, this was back in 2005. I actually was really excited about racing from one end of the land Lordaeron to the other on foot. So from the south end, Pirate Cove, all the way to the north end. And, you know, stuff like that intrigued me. So the idea of racing around the world was pretty cool. But again, the lack of GPS detail was, you know, lack of waypoints in that was just a pain in the butt. And I'm actually going to end up here at the airport, which was one of the most recent places I captured because they got some really cool jets. And that's where I'm going to fly up to the highest point in the game. And at that point, I'll be able to look out to the hotel casino, which is where the first mission of the game takes place. So you'll see that in a little bit. See that in a little bit. And there's another one of the stupid buggies. Yeah, here we go. This is my dramatic exit. Ugh. Yeah! Well, all in all, I had a ton of fun with Just Cause 2, and just kind of despite its flaws, it's a solid 8 out of 10. And I really want to see a Just Cause 3 where they kind of tighten some stuff up and add some features, like just sailing around the world, killing stuff. But I just wish that they had, you know, varied up the little village parts a little better. The military, you know, all the individual missions. And again, I still haven't done hardly any of the story missions at all. I don't know if I'll ever come back. And yeah, see, flying, super fun. The Mancini that we messed with earlier, I honestly had to mute the TV because the motor sounds on loop were so annoying. Oh, and the oil platforms out here, because you'll see a few of them kind of, I don't know if you can see it here. But the oil platforms are actually, those are pretty fun to take out too. You actually have to take out stage by stage an entire mission, or an entire oil platform. And if you were up here at night, you could actually see like the little lights of civilization. You saw them earlier in the video too, but if you saw those little lights and you saw that each one was in a different village, I mean, the game is so big. The game is so good. And I think you can get this game for super cheap now. I don't understand why you wouldn't. And we're descending into the snow biome. Yeah, see this canyon here? On the left? Yeah, that's where I did my initial fight stuff. And then the road goes along the shoreline to the north there, so. And you actually get a trophy or an achievement for being up here. And if you have the PS3 version, you can do video captures, so. But the 360 version seems to run at like twice the frame rate, so. Well, anyway, this has been me rambling on about Just Cause 2 and how much I love it and how much I kind of don't love it. Go check it out. It's really cool. Buy it wherever you can. You need to do it. So, this is Nick from Flesh Eating Zipper, signing off.